Many of you guys found my previous ULGX video very helpful, so today I have an improved and updated guide on how to play downloaded Wii games with USB Loader GX on your Wii. This will be an in-depth ultimate guide that will include setting up your USB drive and or SD card, how to set up games whether you have a Windows or a different operating system, how to get game covers, get the actual USB Loader GX channel on your Wii menu, install custom iOSs, back up your physical games, and of course the optimal settings to get the best experience out of using USB Loader GX. And throughout the video, if you do run into issues, I will offer troubleshooting tips and solutions. So here is what you'll need for the guide. Of course, you'll need a homebrewed Wii, which just means that you have the homebrew channel installed. If you haven't done that yet, I'll have a simple guide linked below. You can follow that before watching this video. Secondly, you'll need a USB drive or an SD card. You can use either one or you can use both of them together, but I'll explain more about that later, but you at least need one of them. If you are using a SD card, just make sure this small plastic tab here is pushed up, otherwise you'll run into issues. When it comes to USB drives, not all of them are compatible, so I will have the official compatibility list linked in the description for you to check, along with a few Amazon links for the ones that for sure work that I've used. Lastly, you'll need a computer or any device that you can get files onto your SD card or USB drive. My PC doesn't have an SD slot, so I use this U-Green adapter here, and of course everything I use is linked in the description for your convenience. So with that out of the way, let's get started. I will have a link in the description to this Google Doc page for my USB Loader GX guide. This will have everything you need, and I just want to point out that this guide is for the Wii. Although the process is similar to the Wii U, it is different, so please check out my Wii U modding playlist if you're on the Wii U. Now, this is a very safe process with very low chance of bricking your Wii. However, it's always a good idea to have a NAND backup. And this one is for Nintendo. There will be no mention or instructions on obtaining paid software illegally in this video. As always, happy modded. So let's get started. Now we'll start off with the downloads here. There is a fair sized list, and if you're intimidated by the process, don't worry, just take it slow and you shouldn't have too many issues. But I do suggest watching the video through once fully, and that way you get an idea of how the process works, and then you can go ahead and do it yourself. But don't worry, I'll take it slow and we will get it all set up. So starting off, we're gonna click on the ULGX app link, and ULGX just stands for USB Loader GX if you didn't know. This will take us to the open shop channel, and this will have information on the actual app, what version it is. If you scroll down on the left side, you can see which remotes you can use, and SD cards are compatible, unlike the past where it was only USB drives. But to the right, there is a zip file, and we're gonna hit download file, and that'll download to your computer. We can exit this page. Next up, we're going to get the CIOS installer. So go to this link here, it'll take you to wii.hacks.guide here, and we'll just click on D2X CIOS installer here and it will download as well. Now when it comes to this program, sometimes it is updated, so make sure to check the pinned comment to see if there are any updates, but otherwise you should be good. So once you have that downloaded, we can exit there. Next up is the CIOS WADs. It'll take us to this Google Drive page. I did not include this in my last USB Loader GX guide, but many people had the TCP timeout connection error. So having these WADs eliminates the need for the internet, and that means you shouldn't get that error. So hit download in the top right, and we'll get those updated CIOS WADs. We can exit this. Next up is the USB Loader GX channel WAD. So let's go to this link here, click this download icon, and that one will download as well. You can exit that page, and next up we need a WAD manager, something to install that WAD. So let's go, it'll take us back to the open shop channel. Scroll down and grab the zip file right here. We can exit that once we have it. And lastly is Wii Backup Manager. Now this is a program for Windows, so if you're on Mac, you can't use this. There's still ways to set up your games without it, and I'll show you those later. But if you have Windows, I highly recommend using this program. So let's go here, and you'll see this here, and just hit download. And once that's downloaded, we can exit out. This program is going to make our lives much easier for setting up our games. So exit there, and now we have all of our downloads ready to go. So now it's time to insert your SD card or your USB drive, whichever one you're using. So I have my downloads on the left here, and I'm going to open up my SD card on the right. But first thing to take note of is the drive letter. So this is my SD card right here. I have a 64 gigabyte micro SD with an adapter. I'm gonna right click and hit properties. There you go. Right now it's formatted as exFAT, and that is not ideal. Now, if you are only putting your games on that device, that is fine, but in order for the Homebrew channel to read your apps, it must be FAT32 formatted. So I'll quickly show you how to do that if you don't know. So it's very, very important to take note of the drive letter. As I mentioned before, my SD card is G, my Windows drive is C, and my extra storage is D. So this letter here is what I need to remember. Yours may not be the same. Just make sure you know which drive letter your storage device is. So if the storage device you're formatting is 32 gigabytes or lower, you can format it through Windows. You can right click, hit format, and in here you'll see a FAT32 option, but mine is 64 gigabytes, so I can't do that yet. Maybe Windows will update and you'll be able to do it one day, but not yet. But make sure that when you're formatting it, you have FAT32 chosen along with 32 kilobytes. And then you start that. Just remember, it will wipe everything on that device. So again, make sure you have the right one chosen and make sure you don't have anything you want to lose on there. Now, if you're like me and you have a storage device that's 64 gigabytes or larger, we have to use a separate program. So back on the Google Doc, you'll see a FAT32 format link. Let's click that. It'll take us to GUI format. We just have to click the icon here. It does say insecure download blocked, but I've downloaded this many times in different videos, so I can vouch that it's safe. So I'm gonna hit keep. So now we have that program. You can exit this. I'll minimize that again. Load up GUI format, press yes if Windows prompts you, and here it looks very similar to the Windows formatting option, but this will allow us to format 64 gigabytes or larger. So again, mine is G. I have triple checked. You really don't want to wipe your Windows drive or external hard drive or anything like that. So again, please make sure you have the correct letter selected. Allocation unit size is good at 32K. And when you're ready, press start. Do you really want to format drive G? All data will be lost. Okay. If you get this error, you can try again, but we'll try to, let's close these windows and we'll try again. All data will be lost. And there we go. So that worked for me. If you again got an error, try restarting your computer, run this program without opening anything else, and then try, and it should work. But now my SD card is formatted as FAT32. We can close that. Open this stuff back up. So now when I right click, hit properties, it is FAT32, and now I am ready to get started. So I'll open up my SD card, and we'll start off by opening up the USB Loader GX zip file. So you do need an extraction software. I use 7-zip. You can also use WinRAR, but you do need an extraction software to do this. So I'm going to open up USB Loader GX. There should be an apps folder here. Just drag that onto the root of your SD card. If you don't know what the root of your SD card is, or your USB drive, whichever, it's basically the first page on your SD card. But I can go back here. I can delete the USB Loader GX zip file. Next up, we'll get the D2X CIOS installer zip, open it up. It's also an apps folder. We're gonna drag it on the root of the SD card or USB drive, whatever you're using, and it'll merge with the existing one. Back out of there, delete the zip. We're gonna skip over to Wiihomebrew, the zip file here, open it up and drag the apps file onto the root of your SD card. Once that is good, we can back out and delete Wiihomebrew. And the next step, right click on your storage device and create a folder called WAD, W-A-D. Once you have that, now we can grab the USB Loader GX WAD and put it inside of that folder. Press yes if Windows prompts you, and then you can delete it from your computer. And next we'll open up our updated CIOS WADs, go into the first folder here, highlight all 4 files and drag them onto the root of your SD card. But once you have that, you can back out, delete the zip file, and this is what your SD card should look like. And next up, we need to set up our games. We'll get a head start by right clicking and creating a new folder and call it WBFS. Make sure you spell it correctly. If you guys are wondering where to get games, well, I can't tell you, but I can tell you that you can join my Discord, which is linked in the description. And I'll just show you quickly that I have a few game backups in my external hard drive in a WBFS folder on there. But once you get them, you can have them placed anywhere on your computer in a folder or just the file. files, we're going to be able to add them to the program regardless. If you have Windows, we're going to be using Wii Backup Manager. If you do not have Windows, don't worry, there is a manual method that I will also show you how to do after using this program. So for the Windows users, let's set up Wii Backup Manager. So I'll minimize my SD card. So I'm going to right click on my desktop, create a new folder, call it Wii Backup Manager, open up this zip file, and we're going to highlight everything inside and drag it into our folder on the desktop. We'll let that transfer over. Now we can delete that. Keeps our computer a little bit more clean. And that's the last of our downloads. Now let's open up Wii Backup Manager. So open up that folder, run the Win64.exe file, press yes if Windows prompts you, and it's opening up on a different screen, but here it is. We can minimize that for now. So this program will help us completely set up our Wii games. But as I mentioned, it's not needed, but it does eliminate a lot of the user error, and it'll even show you if you have a bad file. So now let's get our games into this program. So in order to do that, under Files, hit Add, and I'm going to add a folder because I have all my game backups in a folder. If you want to add each individual file, you can do that too by clicking that, but I'll add a folder, and then I'm just going to navigate to the folder where I have them all, which is my WBFS folder on my external hard drive, and click OK. And they are all added. So these just have to be a WBFS file in order to work. Depending how you got them, no judging here, but make sure you have the correct region. Now we need to get them from the program to our SD card or USB drive, whichever you're using. Under Drive 1, where it says inactive, click on it, and we're going to select the letter that is your storage device. Again, mine is G, yours might not be the same. If you did not create a WBFS folder earlier, it will prompt you to make one now. You can go ahead and click OK. This is our folder. This is our WBFS folder from our SD card. So we have that loaded in. Go back to Files. We're going to select all the games you want transferred over, hit Transfer, and transfer to Drive 1. And once you click that, it will start transferring the games over. This program will do everything for you. But depending on the size of the games, it may take a little bit, so I will meet you when it is done. And there we go, we got a nice sound to say that we are finished. If there was any errors, if any of your games were red, then it might be a bad file, so you might have to get a different one. But now that they're all transferred over, if you go into your Drive 1, there they are. And if I open up my SD card, and inside your WBFS folder should be those games we set up. But now that we have those set up, we're not done with the program yet. Let's get our covers. So what we need to do to get our game covers is go into Options, Settings, go into the Covers tab, scroll down, and then select USB Loader GX. Press OK, and now click Covers here, and sync and download all. If I'm quick enough in the downloads, you can see that they download really quick. But now we have the covers, we just need to set them up on our SD card. We need to find our Wii Backup Manager folder, the first one, and you should see a covers folder right here. Go into GX, and you should see the covers there for the games you downloaded. So we're gonna keep that open. I'm gonna put it on the left. And at this point, you can close Wii Backup Manager. We don't need the program anymore. But with the SD card over here, go into your apps folder, USB Loader GX, and over in the covers folder, we can actually back out to where it has cache and GX and simply grab the GX folder and drag it inside. And that's gonna have your covers. And that's it. So now we're completely done with Wii Backup Manager. If you wanna add games in the future, you can do it the exact same way, but I am done that for now. And here is where I'll show you guys how to set up games manually. So this is if you're on Mac or Linux or just not on Windows, not able to use Wii Backup Manager. So in order to do this, we need to go into our WBFS folder, and I'm going to be setting up Mario Party 8. So I'm going to right click, create a new folder, and just call it Mario Party 8, or obviously whatever game you're going to set up. But then put 2 square brackets like that. We're going to come back to that later once we actually get the title ID. And now we need to get our WBFS file. So I have mine in this folder right here. I'm going to grab the file and place it into the folder I just made for that game. We'll let it transfer over. And now we need to go grab the game ID. So head over into your browser, create a new one, and just type the game name and then title ID. Game ID. search that and it should be the top one, and this is where it depends on your region. So the first one here, if we go on, it will say that it is NTSCU, which is North American. That is the region of my console and the game I downloaded. If you have EU, you need PAL, but the region does matter for the game ID because it won't run the game if it has the wrong ID. But once you know this is the right one, highlight this ID right here, copy it. Let's head back to the folder, go inside and rename the WBFS file and paste. But back out, one more step, rename this one, and then inside those square brackets, paste the game ID again. And that's it for setting up the games. As you can see, they look the same as the games I set up with Wii Backup Manager. So again, go ahead and do that with however many games you have. And for my non-Wii Backup Manager users, if you're looking to get covers, we can actually do that on our console if you have an internet connection. But once you're done with that, we are completely ready to go over to the Wii and set everything up to get going playing our games. So I'll eject my SD card and let's go set it up. If you have an SD card like me, just insert it as normal. Make sure that plastic tab is pushed up, otherwise your card is right locked and we won't be able to set things up. If you have a USB drive, it does need to be plugged into port 0, which if it's standing up, it's this one on the right, and if your Wii is flat, it is the bottom port. This is mainly so that the Homebrew channel reads the apps. But here we go, let's get started. Head into the Homebrew channel. And if for some reason your apps are not showing up, press 1 and then make sure you have the proper slot selected. And again, if your USB drive or SD card is not FAT32, the Homebrew channel will not read the apps. It does have to be that format. And also, fun fact, these bubbles here, you can actually pop them. I didn't know this for the longest time. It's fun. But our first step is to load D2X CIOS installer, so let's go ahead and do that. What this app will do is allow your console to read the games off of your storage device, because otherwise it won't. So just press any button on this page, and now here's what you're going to see. I have already installed iOSs on this console. This is actually my $5 Wii from the streams that I've done for modding. Now, because I've already installed these iOSs, the highlight is red on my screen. You guys will have purple highlight if you haven't done this yet on your console. So now we need to change the settings for each of the 4 iOSs we're going to install. So under settings, use the D-pad on the Wii remote, go to D2X V11 Beta 1, go down to CIOS base, change it to 38. CIOS slot, we're gonna change that to 248. On the revision, go right until you see 65535. Once you do, press A again to install. And you should see that first downloading iOS 30 metadata bar full right away. That is because we used the offline WADs. So on my last guide, we didn't use those and people had that TCP timeout connection error. If you still get that, just try again because eventually it will work. But yeah, those WADs make it much easier. And you should see success. Press A to continue, and now we're going to change the CIOS base all the way to 56 and the CIOS slot to 249. You can leave the other two the same. Just press A when you have those, press A again to install, and it will install the second iOS. And there we go, second one success. Press A to continue, and now change the base to 57 and the slot to 250. Press A again, and the third one will install. Now, so far it's been smooth for me, but if you ran into any issues, you could always just try again. Sometimes it does take a few tries. And there we go, press A. And now the last one, change the base to 58 and the slot to 251. Press A again to install, and the last one will install. Alright, success on the last one. This time we can press B to exit. We are done. And now that we have those installed, those 4 WADs we have on the root of our SD card, we can actually delete now. They're no longer needed. Now, it's great that you can load USB Loader GX through the Homebrew channel, but we are not going to need that after we install the forwarder channel on our Wii menu. So let's go ahead and do that. So go into YOM Mod Me Edition, load it up. Select the source device that your WAD folder is on. So mine's on my SD card, but if you have them on your USB drive, just go right and select that. But press A and you should see your forwarder WAD right here. So just press A on it and we're going to install it. Now, when it comes to uninstalling it, you can either A, keep the WAD on your SD card and then uninstall it with this program, or you can go into your data management on your Wii settings. Successfully installed, press any button. You can press the home button and it'll take us back to the Homebrew channel. Alright, so now hit the home button again, exit to the system menu, and we should see the USB Loader GX forwarder channel. And there it is. It's beautiful. So now we can load it up. Now this forwarder channel only works because we have the app on the SD card. But let's load into the app, start it up. And here it's looking for a hard drive or USB drive right now. It's giving me time to press A to enable SD card mode. So I'm going to be doing that. If you also have an SD card, obviously do that too. And it should load in. If you get stuck on reinitializing devices, double check that your USB drive is compatible on that list I mentioned at the start of the video. If you get the error code USB device not initialized, then it could be that it's not compatible, or there are some USB drives that aren't really compatible, but if you use this video up on the screen, you can format it to a WBFS version, and that can kind of fix it and save you from having to go in to get another USB drive. And if your games are not showing up, double check by going into this button right here and make sure Wii Games is selected. If you select NAND channels, then everything that's on your Wii menu will show up in USB Loader GX. And yes, you can play GameCube games through USB Loader GX. If you are interested, I do have a video. I'll put it in the description for you. So there is a hotbar up here. If you hover over the icons, it'll show you what they say. Now, personally, my favorite one is this one here. It looks like the Wii menu, and you can load them just like this, and it looks pretty cool. This one looks really awesome when you have your covers, so let's get those set up too. So in the USB Loader GX settings, go over one, go to custom paths, 3D cover path, press A, and now we're going to show our USB Loader GX where to look for those covers. So go into apps, USB Loader GX, and GX. Press OK, path changed, press OK again, and let's go back, and they should pop up just like that. I didn't actually set up the cover for Mario Party 8 because I manually set that up. So let me try to show you the other way. So to get the covers with internet, just click on the cover. You can have all of them checked if you want, but I'm just gonna do 3D covers, press OK. Found one missing file, press yes. It'll initialize your network and then it should download. And sometimes it just doesn't want to download the images on your console, so I'll show you another way without Wii Backup Manager to get them. Over on GameTDB, where we got those game IDs to set up our games manually, this copy right here, right click, save image as, and it saves as the title ID. And then all you do is go into your apps, USB Loader GX, GX, or create a folder called GX if you didn't do that with Wii Backup Manager, and place it inside. Click yes if Windows prompts you, and then you can just change the custom path just like we did a minute ago for covers. So now our games are fully playable that we set up, but what if you have a disc that you want to add to that? So I have New Super Mario Bros. Wii inserted in my console. I'm going to eject it and I'll insert it back in, and we should get a prompt. And now we have the option to install it, which is pretty sweet. But I'm going to hit cancel. If you don't want to take your disc out and put it back in, you can just press this plus icon. Install a game, yes. It will read the disc. It'll show you the game name and how big it is. Press OK, and it'll install it to your storage device. And there we go, that took a few minutes, successfully installed. Just hit OK and give it a sec and it will pop up on your screen. And it says new, look at that. There we go, we are ready to play our game. So let's test one out, and then I'm gonna show you a trick on getting the best setting for USB Loader GX. So let's do Mario Party 8. Start it up. Now this is a good time to tell you that if it black screens, you might have your game set up wrong if you did it manually, or it could just be a bad file and you have to find a different source. But I'm in the title screen, I know my game works. I'm gonna hit the home button, hit the Wii menu, yes, and this will take us all the way back to the Wii menu. Now if you would prefer it goes to the USB Loader GX menu instead, well, we can change that, and let's go do that now. So back into USB Loader GX. So to do that, go into your settings, loader settings, scroll down until you see return to. There it is. And then select it, and now we're gonna choose UNEO. Press A on that one, USB Loader GX, and this is what it should look like. And now, when you press the home button during a game, and you press Wii menu, it'll take you back to this screen here. So now if we load up a game, so here we go, hitting the Wii menu, yes, And it's loading USB Loader GX. Now, if you are on SD mode like I am, and you are annoyed with pressing A to enable SD card mode, there is a different version of USB Loader GX that you can load onto your SD card that will avoid this. And all you have to do is get the link from the description, download that USB Loader GX, and set it up the same way in our apps folder. In fact, I'll do it right now to quickly show you. Alright, so here's the version of USB Loader GX by AUNX. So we'll download this one. Open up the zip file and drag the apps folder onto the root of your SD card, hit replace. And while we're here, we can also delete those because we already have the WAD set up. You can eject SD card, head back onto the Wii. Let's load USB Loader GX. Now on the first load, it might still prompt us to press A for SD card, so let's do that. And now on the second loading, it should skip that part and go straight to SD mode. And there we go. It skips that part, so if you're on an SD card, that is a much nicer experience than always having to press A. Now, something that was skipped over a lot in my last guide was custom themes for USB Loader GX. If you do want those, they look pretty cool. I'll put some on the screen right now. I'll have a video linked in the description, and you can get them set up there. Now, I hope my guide helped you set up your games. If you did run into any issues, you can comment down below, or I have a Homebrew Help Discord server that has various helpers in there who are very good at this stuff. Shout out to everybody on the screen that help in my server, and I hope you guys have a fantastic time playing your Wii games on your homebrewed Wii. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that like button. That's a free way to support me, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay funky and happy modding.